our team witnessed today on that causeway once.
Okay. Got it. Okay. All right. So it's about, what is it? 7:08. I'm going to call this meeting of the Green Team, Green Task Force, or Green Community Committee to order. We've been called many different things, and hopefully they will keep that way. All that stuff. So, and according to the Lunenburg practices, this meeting's done over Zoom. If you got the email and you joined on Zoom, means you know we were here and you're all set. If not, you're going to watch it on YouTube channel at some other time. Okay, great. All right. Oh, my agenda here. Okay. All right. So going down the agenda list. Call to order. Any pending minutes? I didn't do last week, so don't worry about it. We don't have anything. All right. Any comments from the public at this point? Okay. Any, Hannah, Abby, all set? Okay. Any public comments from the committee?
No.
No.
Okay. All right. Great. We're going to go on to the next thing then. All right. So the prep for the RFP for street lighting and design. Okay, so I need to bring something up. Bear with me here a second. George, here we go. All right. So one of the, if from the last meeting, we had George Woodbury from Light Smart Energy Consulting come and meet with us, okay? And I thought George was real helpful in telling us, kind of leading us through a path, helping us with the path, and helping us get towards the goal. So one of the things we had we had asked George to do was to say, hey, look, we're gonna, if we need a consultant, what would your services look like and how much? Okay, so we came up with this RFP, and I'm trying to here we go. Let me make this bigger. All right, for those of us who are visually challenged, so the idea here was, let me get rid of this. Can I get rid of that? I can't get rid of that. Nope, I can't get rid of that. Okay. How do you do view full screen?
Not sure you can on that.
No, I don't think I can. Okay, and I'm not going to open it up the other way. Okay. Oh, that's okay. All right. So one of the things we have is he separated things into two different categories. One was an audit. This would be, hey, go around, make sure and if you look in the first category, the audit, this is the first line 1 is the audit. So he looked at it as the audit is GPS location of every light, the light type, the wattage, mast arm length, mounting height, pole number, blah, 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 all this from the ground, looking up from the ground. And then the adjacent land use and any maybe critical to required lighting levels. This is, we kind of talked about whether it's at a busy intersection. We have the 1,000-watt light bulbs sitting at Wayland Park in Wayland District, lighting up for the old Wayland Park, waiting for it to come back and things like that. And so, we're just making sure we have the right wattage in the right thing. So this would be the audit. And the audit came to $10 a light is for him to do the audit. This would be, well, for their company to do the audit. About roughly $3,230. Okay. Sure.
Is this an RFP that's already gone out and he's proposed, or he's just
giving me give me some numbers. And by the way, the final number comes to under 10K. So
so we can.
I looked through some of those. I thought I was impressed with the seemingly small cost for the services he would be providing to us.
So if it's under 10K, can we just use best practices?
That's what we're looking at. That's what I'd be looking at doing. So we'd be looking to do. Okay.
In best practices, this is the only question in my head, and I've been thinking the same one that you just mentioned. I don't think we're required, but best practices suggests 2 to 3 estimates. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you have to do make a good faith effort to get other quotes.
Yeah.
Okay. So by the way, that's the audit section of this. So the idea was the audit section was roughly 3K, 3230. And then the other section, the consulting section, was 6K on this. So I guess part of the audit I look at as preliminary recommendation for LED for each location. So whether it's 40 watt, you know, the whatever the wattage is, the assist with the pilot of various streetlight options if desired, provide the town names with different lights that can be visited. But by the way, Abby and Hannah, if you want to ask a question or anything, just unmute yourself and just speak up. This is not the formal meeting that some of the other boards have. So I highly encourage you to interact and be part of this. But as I said, the same motion, just jump in because I can't show both screens at the same time. Okay. So the audit report would give us a preliminary design and associated cost and savings. He's already approached Unitil as well about, you know, the incentive plan, and I'll go into that in a minute, but I'm on number 5. Prepare required Unitil incentive forms for town signature, submit the same with all requirement documentation to Unitil. Prepare required bid documents in cooperation with the town staff. This is, I really think, the big one for us because, you know, I don't feel like any of us are sitting here with nothing else to do to put this together. And I'm not personally a big guy with doing that. Assist with coordinating post-project maintenance, prepare the final LED design, oversee the project during and post-installation, submit closeout paperwork to Unitil and DOER, and then provide the town with a final project shape file, you know, GIS data map, which is something this town needs right now. Because what we found out is right now is that we have what we're calling phantom lights. So the town has found out that there are lights in this that we have not been paying for that have been working. And then we have the lights that we have been paying for that haven't been working. So we've bought the lights, but we're just trying to reconcile with Unitil now on the costs and things like that associated with everything. So it's kind of ridiculous that we're still going through this after all this time on this thing. So we own the lights, that's done.
I was gonna say, what's the issue? We own whatever's there. Why is there any kind of issue at this point?
Because we're still being charged electricity for certain for lights.
That are not there, or there are lights there that aren't even recorded and we're not paying for them.
Correct, both.
Well, then tell them to wash and leave it alone.
I understand that, right? But
then we do our audit and we get everything up to date when the LEDs are in.
Correct.
We'll have a full inventory then.
Correct, exactly. That's the feeling we have.
Why are we even putting
Yeah,
any
we
energy
don't want to
towards
open
this?
up a can of worms right now.
No,
Yeah.
it was more of a reconcile with Unitil. During that reconciliation, they realized that there was lights that they weren't charging for, that weren't on the record. And then there was lights that we said that we were being charged for that were on the record. So I understand, and I don't know if it's a wash. It was just a quick conversation I had with Heather today. Okay,
So they're trying to get more revenue from the
What they
their
have.
charge until they can't get it anymore.
exactly.
What they're after. Okay.
What a surprise,
Yeah.
right? So,
So this came from Unitil, this reconciliation, or we did?
I think it's a little combination
Okay.
because what happened is I think the, folks driving around, they had asked the DPW, they had asked the police and fire, the police to kind of look around and make sure and look at things. And, they noted the lights that were out and then they noticed,
I don't understand. How do you do a purchase and sales agreement on an infrastructure that you haven't clearly identified?
that is Unitil.
No, that is us and Unitil.
That is both, right? That is correct.
We agreed to something that was not, okay. whatever.
Yes, okay.
Ouch.
Understand. So the idea here is to get this thing done as quick as possible, to get off this roller coaster that we're on.
I mean, there's been one comment made by a professional that we could have this done by Christmas if we wanted to.
Correct. And I'd like that right now. Okay. So this is kind of, and this is something that, my recommendation to Heather, and I think it was based on the board, with our last meeting, was that we work to try to figure out how to get George on our team. Okay, because it's definitely something that we feel will benefit us, feel not only just with his knowledge of things, but his contact that would help us get more bids than the one bid we got last time for a designer and things of that sort. So to frame this in the right way, and to frame it so that we can kind of make sure we get a quality product that we want.
Yeah.
Let me go into something else here then. I'm going to go into a couple of things here. So he also did, he did look at it. So this is in regards to asking about the dimming and the dimming capabilities, okay? So this is a comment from John DiNapoli. So right now, the idea is that they're only, because Fitchburg has been dimming the lights in certain areas, what they're doing is they're only billing them for 50% of the rated. So instead of, even though they have the metering service and all that stuff, Unitil is just saying, look, we're just billing you for 50% of the rated light output as a general thing.
But we know what it really is, and we're making money.
Probably, but the
Yeah.
fact of the matter is this to me was one of those, this was the question of whether how much we wanted to monitor the lights and the output.
Right.
And the feeling is if we can, there is a way of doing, there's a dimmer, there's a head module you can get that you can program to dim at certain times and then just leave it alone. So it wouldn't be radio controlled or something like that.
Yeah.
Or it wouldn't monitor back to a central station, but it would be still like you can use Bluetooth to talk to it, to reset it or do different things like that. But you would lose that, the ability to monitor back to a central station. The cost was substantially lower. And if the idea would be if the savings, you would make the savings in this 50% off type of thing.
Well, I'm sure they're aware of controllers, the different types of controllers available. And, it's something that can be set like, to dim 50% or even 60 or 80% at a certain time. That's built into the light, and then we relay that to Unitil. It's something that looks like there's precedent, and they should be able to give us a similar deal, which would be nice. And, and that requires very little controls, very little anybody needing to, watch the system all the time.
I honestly think until George can tell us that, yeah, that's as good a deal as you're gonna get, I think it's smoke.
I don't disagree with you. And I agree. I mean, I definitely agree that we can still investigate. I just want to make sure that, the first priority is the conversion. Second priority would be, how the monitoring idea.
Yeah, I, in the back of my mind, the bottom line is get as much as we can get for the dollars that we have available.
Totally.
Don't look to be, oh, it's less expensive to do it this way. If we built in the amount that I think we built into this project, I think we can buy Cadillacs or Lamborghinis, not. No.
Cadillacs.
You're right.
It's funny because all of us in the room used to think Cadillac, saying, "Ooh, you bought the
Right.
Cadillac. That was a good thing." Now it's like, you only got a Cadillac?
So,
No,
yeah,
we need
I
something
do think-
reliable, though.
Yeah.
Oh, is that not
Stick with
Cadillac?
Cadillac.
Yeah.
I do think we could bid without certain things, and then if we get some low bids and we have the room, we could consider an amendment to the contracts to add things in. I think it's easier that you could do that
Okay.
in a, I think. I guess I'd want to ask Heather about that. I mean, I know contract amendments happen all the time when we do change orders and add something in, so
Okay.
we could potentially do that.
Yeah, and I think also in contracts like that, if the bid came in or the contract that's accepted comes in under the funding, then you can expand the scope of the original contract and use more of that money towards
Yeah.
it.
And that's what I mean,
Right.
you just do an amendment to the contract
Right.
to expand the scope and the
Right.
cost.
We talked about that
Okay.
with Marshall Park.
Okay. Well, the other side is, do we work with George to make it so that it would be a line item in the contract? You know, the idea of metering or not meter, you know, the different styles of meter, of controls could be said, okay, if you want just automatic on off, if you want the ability to program dimming, or if you want the ability for full monitoring, these are the different cost levels in the contract. I mean, I would look at that way. It's easier for us because we're looking at, you know, we're not having it where there might be somebody who has a certain, they might not be the least expensive for the installation, but when you add the monitoring, they would be the least expensive or something like that. I don't know, you know?
Yeah, that is a thing. I mean, we
It's
can,
something to consider.
yeah, we just have to make sure that if we have multiple add-ons, that we put them in the order we want, because they're all weeks and they can only go in.
That's the thing that concerns me. If you put a grocery list in a bid,
Mm.
you're asking for trouble. Your bid should be as specific as possible with, I think anyway, with verbiage that says that there may be additional scope if funds are available added to the project or something to that effect. I don't think you list them as a grocery list. And again, somebody in procurement would have a better idea, and I think George has been involved in enough of these that he could tell us one way or the other. And I don't think we move too far forward. If we're bringing George on board, I personally don't think we should move too far forward until we have him as our consultant. Because we can kick these ideas around the table all we want, but we don't have anybody here that's an expert in the industry
Right.
advising us right now.
Okay, so let me go with the next thing then. So Heather and I were chatting and she was, you know, one of the things was the, hold on, let me pull this up instead because I can do it this way. Because I can do, okay. So I had an exchange with Kelly Brown, okay? All right. So my question for Kelly was this, you know, quick question. Can we use the grant funds to convert, you know, we got the grant funds to convert to LEDs. So what can the funds be used for? Based on the limited resources in the town, we would like to use a small percentage of the funds, less than 10K, to hire a consultant that can help us to push the project forward. This is possible under the grant structure. Okay, felt it was that kind of a very ambiguous.
Very general
Yeah.
question.
Exactly. She came,
I thought we already asked this.
we might have, but I'm just looking for clarification.
Okay.
So she came back and says, nice to hear, okay, just to clarify, in your grant application, you mentioned hiring a company like LightSmart to help with the design.
Hmm.
And are you also asking to hire a consultant to oversee the design and implementation? So I kind of came back to her and saying, look, you know, we weren't as much for the design, but we were looking more for the implementation of whatever type of thing. That because I felt that was more the scope. However, if I'm looking at this thing, you know, so this is, I came back with, we feel comfortable with the design, however, looking for help with specifications, help with complete bid, oversee project, coordinate it with Unitil, and make sure project is completed correctly and on time, right? Because that's what I figured we were doing. So I haven't heard back from her yet on that.
It concerns me that she's asking for that level of distinction. It makes me think that one is eligible and one is not.
So that's the whole idea.
Yeah.
So if I'm hearing this and I'm saying you can hire a company like LightSmart to help with the design, do I call George a designer in LightSmart, right? Because they are helping with that. They're going to do the audit. They're going to do this. They're going to do that, and everything else like that. And I'm done with this.
Right.
But I will look for clarification from Kelly and let you guys know.
I think that we can safely say he would be assisting us with the design so that we can put a bid together. I mean, I wonder if her distinction is about the project management.
That's why I tried to make it more like project management versus the design.
Right.
But still, I kind of look at it as a combination. You know, to me, the audit was the design.
Yes.
And the other side was the project management. Okay. As I said, you know, the idea here though is that do we call it design and just move on?
what is what is the language that's restricting us or allowing us to do something? Where's that located? And who possesses that?
Is it in the grant application?
Yeah, that's my problem is hold on, Green Group, competitive grant. Final Tanko, final complete, GC grant table, project narrative.
I do remember at one point being told, I think it was by Kelly, that we just have to be careful that things like design are potentially when we build those costs in, we're potentially bringing up the return on investment, the time for the return. So, yeah, increasing the time because we're adding costs that doesn't directly connect the savings because it's designed.
Yeah, I mean.
But we're in such a good position with, I think, our return on investment that that's not really an issue for us.
Right.
Oh, here we go. Okay, so here we go. This is the grant application. All right, and let me make this bigger for us poor folks. So let's look at the budget here. Just read the budget part at the bottom.
For the design and project oversight costs.
Design and project oversight. So if they
Right,
approved it
that's
that way,
it.
that's exactly what
That's
we
exactly
want.
what we're doing.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay.
Okay,
Right.
that,
It's just not tangled.
that sounds like it
That's
should,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
Sure.
mix right in.
right.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now I just wanted it, like I say, I
Yeah,
just,
no,
you know,
no, that's
um,
good.
I'd rather have that confirmation and that way we're okay. I can come back I'll give Kelly a call and say that's, but, you know, pull back the hounds, and on that.
We're looking to do exactly what the project, what's it say up there? Project, the description, excuse me, in the total project budget states. Word for word, for design and project oversight costs.
Except for Tanko.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean. That
Hold
just
on.
is stating.
Let me just
that
go
that
down.
was an
Let me go
input
down
we
a bit.
got from them.
And then we discussed
Oh.
last week about, you know, who's responsible or who we bring the contractor in under.
Yes. Let me just see if
If
there's,
it needs to be George or if we can do that as well.
Yeah, I guess that was one other question. Did George posed the question as to whether he could do the soup to nuts?
I did not, we did not pose that to him just yet. Okay, because, you know, I'm looking at this as both, you know, looking at it, I'd rather have the contingents of back where if he says no, or even if we found that it was more cost effective to do it the other way.
Yeah.
I'd look at it that way, right? Because, you know, I mean,
I mean, that could add greatly to his costs if he's funding, you know, if he's got the whole budget running through his office, that whole budget running through his office.
correct. And, you know, so we didn't really pose it to him that, but I mean, obviously, well, I don't know if he's his company's allowed to bid if he's the consultant, you know, or the
That
designer.
doesn't look good anyway.
Okay.
Dave, is there any other section in there that really describes is this the only place that it really says what we were going to do with that $172,000? Because the more I read that, the more it's kind of saying to me that this is how we came up with the number. This isn't necessarily what we're going to do.
Right, you're right, I started to notice that.
Okay. So this is the whole thing, the street light, blah, blah, blah. Let me know when you're ready to go further down.
Well, yeah, okay, I know all that.
That's that we know. All right, let me keep going down because this is,
Right.
keep going down.
Yeah,
The only thing is LED streetlight controls based on the final award for turnkey system and cost to implement. A town would want GIS database, blah, blah, blah. Streetlight inventory, control monitoring for output adaptation and monitoring for any potential outages. So we did put in there for the controls already. So we're okay there. Can I go down?
When we put in for the controls, are we bound to that though? In case
No.
we just decide to get the simple, the simple.
No,
dim?
no, we're not bound to spend all the money.
Okay.
We just have to spend, well, we have the ability to spend the money.
Is there a section where it talks about the activities of
This is, you pretty much coming to the end.
the? Okay.
Hold on.
so They don't ask for it, large input.
This is it.
Company specializing in providing turnkey LED. That's the only thing that might shoot us in the foot. right
But
there.
however, look at the day-to-day management. The town plans to have an outside firm provide project oversight services of the project.
The project, okay,
Yeah.
okay. That was a good big statement.
Yeah.
Gave us the in.
Okay, so I am, like I say, I'll confirm with Kelly, but I'm comfortable with the idea. And even looking at it, the other side of it, and I didn't find the words. Let me see if I can find the words here in this. Bear with me here a second. Search email. Okay. Judge. Oh, here we go. Okay, based on the info, he gave us this, based on the info from Unitil, you're gonna expect an additional grant from them. There's no restrictions, but that's not telling me the words I want to hear. Oh, actually, is that what his name of his company is? LightSmart. Okay, so we have it written, Kelly actually acknowledges the LightSmart. Okay.
The, if I can kind of come in sideways on that. What can that 20, or, I mean, I know what the number is, and it was only an estimate. We made it clear that it would probably be adjusted before the final payment's made, but what are the limitations on that money?
What money, are we talking about?
The incentive,
A Unitil incentive?
yeah.
Was that at the last meeting? Because I wasn't there.
No, it came between
Okay.
meetings.
Oh, okay.
After, it was in a document that Dave shared somewhere in there. Or did that not go to everybody, Dave?
I thought it did, but that's okay.
I might have, and I just didn't read it.
It's part of the kind of back and forth with
Yeah, I'm trying to find the one from George.
George.
Uh,
Yeah, I think it's in there.
All
I'm
right.
trying to find some pictures. and I could find it there.
Okay. Why can't I get this? So this was, did he give an answer to this? Hold on, let me go this way. How the hell do you do this, John? Okay, that's John DiNapoli.
The town would get 23,000. That's what that email.
That's what, see, but that's saying that's what the other guys do normally.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
So that's not you.
right. So I'm getting there. I'm getting there slowly. Because- Okay, here we go. Here we go. This is where he said it. Oh, come on. I hate
This is
Google.
all in
I don't like the stacking emails.
Yeah. Come on. It says this on high bill. So he says an internal contact. Okay, let me see if I got another one from John DiNapoli. Here. Come on. Come on. Is that it? He's not, George gave, and there was a number in here somewhere, but I thought there was a number. Okay, let me look and see if I got something. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I don't mean to take up too much time here.
Um,
Here we go. Here we go. Okay, I finally got it. So it said here, project completion year 2023, total installed cost somewhere between 130 and 172. And he says the incentive would be roughly 24K. Okay,
Did you get a feel, I guess my side question is, do we know at this point what the limitations are on what that money can be used for?
so that was the whole idea, is that there was supposed to be no limitation. That money comes back to the town and the town could use it. But that was I had a brief discussion, and Heather has to talk a little bit, figure out a little bit more as to make sure it doesn't, it doesn't go to petty cash or how it's done.
Yeah, back into the general fund or whatever.
Exactly.
And I would think it's gonna end up being one of those things that we can't really expend it until we have it. Or it's a reimbursement for a previous expense. Yeah, okay, that's fine. There's a lot involved in that, and Heather will sort that out.
And as well as I'm looking at it as that, the whole cost is this less than 10K? So can the town float less than 10K to make sure we get a project that's viable and worthwhile? And wait, even if when the incentives come back, we say, okay, 10K of that went to the consultant, the other 14K went to general funds. God bless everybody.
Right.
Right. Right.
Or if it is unrestricted, then, Heather may choose to do something different to keep it within the project or the scope of cost after the project.
Yeah, I would
I would think incentives are intended to go towards costs of the
I think they
project.
would be a cost of the project. And I wonder, well, just thinking about my own like heat pump installation, I got a 10K rebate from Unitil, but I didn't actually see that, so I just got a bill that was 10K less.
10K less, yeah.
But in that case, Unitil is working directly with one of their consultants, so the 10K just passes between those parties, and I never see it.
Right.
So I don't know if it would play out the same way here.
Which back 5 or 6 years with my solar project, the incentive came through that year's tax return. It was set up as a contingency payment towards the installation through the company that installed my system. So in other words, they floated the loan for the balance of the total, but they basically had an escrow sitting out there at no charge until such time as the rebate came through the tax return. And then I was responsible for making sure that that payment got paid against that account to bring it to zero. Does that make sense?
That must have made sense.
In general, actually, what it was a separate no interest loan for X number of months.
And your incentive to pay that.
Right.
Yeah. I'm trying to think like when I work with, so one of the things I do at my office is affordable housing funding for development, and sometimes they get rebates and incentives from Unitil for construction. And I do think that those come in as actual cash to them. So that makes me think it would come in as cash too.
I felt somewhere in this whole trail of emails, and it got confusing, but George was kind of sending me everything. However, he basically made the determination after talking to Unitil that it'd be roughly this, which is much more than and that it could be used as we choose. Okay, I can't, am I going to say that for sure? I don't know,
I bet that the town still has to appropriate it. It comes in and it gets appropriated and it goes to that project, just like a grant would come in and get appropriated to and go to a particular project. wouldn't it? Well, you know
We'd
what,
only
I don't
have to,
actually,
I
don't-
think we'd only have to appropriate it if we have to pay it up front.
so
before the grant
I'm
comes in.
thinking about, the way it works in Pittsburgh with city
Mm.
council, like every bit of money gets appropriated through city council, so
Yeah.
maybe town works differently.
Two or three times before I come up with an answer that I'm even comfortable with. Even after being on finance for a few years.
Okay. All right. This was the other comment from George, if you guys can see it, but the preliminary estimate from the incentive is 24K, but this, of course, will be adjusted once they have the final design numbers. You can see from the attached proposal that my total cost would be less than 10K. If you all want to do a pilot, then my cost would go up some due to increased time and travel, but would not exceed 15K. You all currently, I love the you all currently spend about 73K per year for the lights, and then finish by the time, and say in January, there'd be another 15 to 20K in this year's budget. Just depends on how quickly you can move on this forward. So, you know, obviously, so it's substantial savings that we're gonna have from doing this, but that's all well and good. As I said, I just want to make sure we can move this thing forward
Yeah.
quickly.
The
Okay.
sooner the better. I mean, the savings are a good incentive for that.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Especially in the winter, if there's any chance of getting this done soon.
Yes. Okay, so,
What does he mean by pilot?
what the idea would be is to install 3 different lights.
Oh, okay, so an actual
As we-
pilot, a trial.
As we
I think that's
discussed,
a waste, I
Yeah.
honestly think
Okay.
that's a waste of time.
I
You
agree.
pick the industry standard and
Yep.
you purchase them and you put them in.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, and
everybody-
it's triggering different thresholds. If we estimate that with the pilot, it would go over 10 grand, then we're still back to an RFP.
Right.
And not even that, I look at it as that if I give everybody an opinion, you're gonna get everybody's opinion.
Which is gonna
Everybody's
delay
eyes sees
things
way
dramatically.
differently.
Exactly,
That's true, yeah.
exactly. So does that really help us at all to do a pilot?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I would agree that. we pick-
I
pick the
say drive
industry
around
standard.
to area towns.
Mm.
Right, okay,
And you know, I've made a couple of trips now to my trip to New Hampshire and back in the dark. So areas that I've never seen the lights on before, I have recently. And, you know, there are an awful lot of LED lights out there already, and we've known that. They've been doing the transition for a lot of years.
yes,
And, you know, I don't see a lot of difference between most of them, except for the real bright ones that are in an area where they really want it lit up.
Pretty
Like
unusual,
along,
right? Some of the blue
101.
ones in industrial areas. as
Yes.
well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
101 going through Bedford where they just redid the highway over the past 5 years and, you know, 3 lanes each way, divided highway and all
Yes.
brand new lighting and,
Yeah,
you
it's
know.
a different type of project though.
Right, but the lighting was engineered into the reconstruction of the room
Right.
where they weren't there before.
yep, no, I agree. So, so at this point, let's see, our action items are for myself to clarify with Kelly, just to make sure. I think we feel comfortable because she's even mentioning like us hiring somebody like LightSmart. So she was even thinking the same path as we were thinking. So I feel comfortable with that. And then working with Heather to try to make sure it's going to be seen as best practice and to get George on board as soon as possible.
Yep.
Would we agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I don't know how much else we want to discuss on the lights at this point.
I think that's the one most important thing that needs to happen, you know, as quickly as possible, as I said earlier.
Yeah.
Is that as we need to get to points where we need to make final decisions, more finite decisions and more educated decisions, we need George sitting with us to make those decisions, or somebody in his capacity.
Correct,
Mm.
correct. I agree with you 100%. And like I say, I feel like we're sitting there playing with other people's RFPs, trying to make it our own. and it's not gonna work. We're gonna miss something, and what we're gonna miss is something important. I feel, it's gonna be something stupid, and, we're dealing with companies who know how to get around.
Yeah, and I think, again, as we've gone around and around and around about monitoring and dimming and all that other stuff, I think we have that final conversation with whoever we hire to help us, assuming George, make those decisions with that expertise at the table with us.
Okay, okay. All right, super. All right, so we all set with that topic? Okay, the other topic is gonna be real quick. I spoke to Michael Ray Jeffries. He would like us to entertain, what it would be to put solar on the landfill. He gave me a name of some company that kind of does it as a consulting thing, and then based on the cost, they take like a 4% off of the top, off of it as an additional fee to help get it done. I'll make a inquiry into these folks, understanding that, it's just basically very preliminary, just to get an idea of whether it, what will be needed to get this done.
Yeah.
I don't think it's I think it's a good idea that we actually control our own solar farm if we can. It's just a matter of, is the dump that makes sense?
Let me ask this question. Are we gonna manage the solar farm, or are we looking to contract out to somebody to build a solar farm that we, the town, are gonna benefit from revenue wise? Because I don't believe we are in a position to manage a solar array. I mean, it's just like the town being a landlord. I'm totally against it.
Okay. Well noted. In fact, if we're sitting here and we're hiring a consultant because nobody from the town could actually make sure this project gets done correctly.
Exactly.
Yeah, what
That's
kind
my
of
point.
can of worms are we opening for this, right?
All right. So
It-
what I'm going to ask is, is our next meeting, so there's two things that might go right. That was one. The other one is he's going to be doing like a energy program for the town of Lunenburg. The idea of like helping Lunenburg go green, go more green. So he's going to send it. I'm going to ask for a review, that you all review it. I'm going to ask Michael Ray to come to a meeting and we can hash it out with him, because we're not allowed to discuss it among ourselves. So this way we can give him our comments live and go from there. Okay, so this would be hopefully the next meeting. And we can do two things at that meeting. One would be hash this out with Michael Ray and things like that. And the other is to hopefully get George on board and start talking about the next step of the RFP.
Do we know if if he or anybody else has talked to our town planner about the landfill and the conservation commission about the landfill, and whether or not there's any, like, they see any problems, any roadblocks in being able to do this, I guess, as far as feasibility goes?
I don't know. I would probably say no.
I could answer that. I could have never mind. I'm gonna stay away from it.
I would say that no, it's been approached to us and looking at it, us being able to go through different things. Okay, and I don't really feel that's necessarily our purview to be doing that. However, I'm looking to, the idea is I'm excited that somebody in town is actually asking us to be proactive versus dragging us in because we heard about it while we watched a Zoom meeting. Okay, that type of thing. So, boy, am I getting old salty in my old age. Okay.
There was a communication from Karen Chapman, wasn't there, relative to solar on landfills?
Correct,
I didn't get into that document or anything.
I did not either. And there is a state agency. In fact, here, let me see if I got that. Bear with me here a second.
By the way, for anybody at home, Karen Chapman's with MRPC.
Here we go.
She's a consultant that we've contracted with for this type of information.
This wasn't the one. Was this the one? Did it have it in here?
It was very shortly after our last meeting, like within a day or two.
Exactly. That's why I was really, this is it, I think.
Oh, I found it. Did you find it? October 6th.
Yeah, so this is the one, October 5th, hers, yeah, she sent it October 6th. I'm trying to find where it says anything about this resource.
There was a state one and then there was NREL, wasn't there?
Yes,
I've been so scattered lately. I open emails, I gloss over them real quick, pick up key points and close it again.
I'm the same way.
Exactly.
Actually, at work, I've gotten into the habit of marking a lot of emails as unread, so I can go
Yes.
back to them because I've only had a few minutes to
Yeah.
like look at the info. But it's not as easy to do that with Gmail as it is with my Outlook.
I used to actually set them up as a forwarded, as a draft. Create it as if I was gonna forward it to somebody and have it go into drafts.
And then, right,
And
or
then I
just
could-
send it to yourself again.
Yeah, yeah, but it still gets lost in all my emails if I
Yeah.
do that, but if it's in drafts, then.
The constant debate for me about whether or not it's better to leave something unread until I can like really give it my full attention, or just to get through the email so that I've like looked through them all. So,
no, maybe there was another one from Karen then. Hold on. Karen. No, that must have been it. That was it. All right, I can't find it right off the top of my head here.
It's not that super important nowadays, but, excuse me, that might be another avenue to, at the same time explore. I think as we talked about before, I think there's a big can of worms that could explode with that property and that type of project, but sure. I'm pretty certain the town did as little as possible and as little as needed to satisfy the closure
Capital needs.
of the land.
Right. Yeah, that would be my concern for sure. It would be, and I think Dave's suggestion that we find a company here early on to give them just some round, to give us some round scope ideas or concepts.
Yeah.
Let them know that our main concern is the type of cap, and a lot of these was a cap with clay.
Right.
There's a good solid layer of semi or low permeability material on top that can take a lot of foot traffic, vehicles and other things, and I haven't seen the space. I don't know what the material is, but that is a high level concern.
Yeah, and after they get some idea as to what we've actually got here in town, I think they can advise what landmines are sitting in front of us between where we are now and where we think we want to go.
It might be untouchable.
Yeah.
They might just say, no, you're better off finding another 6 or 10 acres somewhere.
Right. And I know with the 6 acres with the utility easement already connecting it to the street.
There you go.
In fact, I don't know if they've actually made it there Saturday.
Town property,
Oh, yeah.
because
Board of Selectmen were supposed to visit that property last Saturday, I believe. I don't know if they made it or not.
good solar access.
Would take some clearing. It's grown up, but yeah, I don't know. I haven't been in there in years. It's, where are we? We're right here. It's that way about 3/4 of a mile. But it's in the valley. It's not on the hill.
Okay.
It's close to Townsend Harbor Road. It's back by Townsend Harbor Road and Northfield. Northfield Road,
Yep.
Route 2A, Townsend Harbor Road. It's
Oh, is it that
It's a
clearing that's
real-
been in there
real
for
lot.
that dirt lot that's been in there forever?
Well, Pavenzi owns the lot that comes out to Route 2A,
Oh, okay, yeah.
okay? He owns a lot in front of it.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, so
the
there's an
frontage on
easement.
2A, but it would be behind that.
And we get an easement to do that.
But we have a utility easement from Northfield Road all the way into it.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, if we're looking for solid, solid ground, it's definitely better than something very questionable and costly to repair.
So this was the thing, there was the C2 Expert Match Pilot Program. So Expert Match, why should, during the stakeholder outreach process, blah, 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 blah. Expert Match is intended to help meet the needs by providing 40 to 60 hours of technical assistance to community stakeholders who have decision-making power and or influence in the community, but need access to additional clean energy expertise to inform upcoming plans, policies, or projects. So that's what this was. That was what I thought was the idea there, was we can use these guys maybe to do it. But the problem we have is that November 12th is phase 2 application processes, needs to be in.
Mhm.
So we don't have a lot of time.
Did there need to be a phase 1?
Phase 1 was, the first first round of
Round.
applications.
Right.
And then phase 2
Okay,
is the
so it's
second
not-
round.
It's not
Yeah.
like if you had to
So-
put in a phase
so
1
if you-
letter. of
If you want
interest.
to expedite that, and Mr. Jeffries is really hot to trot about getting this program off the ground, do we hand that off to him and say, hey, make this happen, and we'll work with them?
Yes, I will send that. Yeah,
Did you say it was November 18th?
November 15th. I did send him the note from Karen, but I don't know if he read through it as much as,
As select board chair, and just knowing him in general, he's going in so many directions at once right now.
Exactly. Well, never mind the real job, the 9 to 5 job. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to say that's about all I had for tonight. All right. I'm getting better at this thing. I'm not going to get an hour and a half out of me this time. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going back to work, so I'm.
I understand. Hey, Abby, any thoughts or anything like that we, did we do okay for you so far?
Yeah, I have no questions.
The group that contacted us a while back.
So yeah, so Abby, can I ask, are you just a citizen of Lunenburg that you just, or what's the reason, any particular reason to join the meeting tonight? We don't
Yeah,
get many visitors.
I'm a high school student at Lunenburg, and
Here.
Hold on. Let me see if I can turn up the volume here.
I think it's a volume on the TV because you push it over to the TV.
Yeah.
Can you speak?
hello.
Yeah, Abby,
now I
okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, so I'm a senior at Lunenburg High School, and we're required to take a civics class, and we were assigned to attend a town meeting.
I see.
Oh,
You
Yep.
picked a good
Okay.
one.
So
hopefully we were a good one for you.
Yeah, this was a good meeting.
Okay,
Very
well,
interesting.
you'll know better with the rest of them whoever goes to the finance committee is gonna, and or the select board last night and tells you about the 3-hour meeting, you'll realize that this ain't gonna be a 3-hour meeting.
you're right.
We gotta go.
Yeah.
It's a good one to go to.
Okay, thank you. We're very much excited that you came, and if you have questions, feel free to contact us after or anything like that, okay?
Okay, thank you.
No,
Don't ever hesitate to volunteer if you have the time.
Yeah.
There's seats open on all committees, and you're the ripe age and got the ambition, I'm sure, to hear new ideas rather than from us
so,
people that have been around forever.
exactly.
Yeah, speak for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the nicest thing about town here is that if you have a passion for anything, just you can volunteer and have your voice heard and make a change in this town, type of thing. If you can stick it out long enough, you can
Yeah.
make a change. Okay, excellent. All right, so Let's-
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Abby, you say adjourn?
Yeah,
All right, there
Have a
you
good
go.
night.
Have a good night.
you
Okay.
too. Thank
All
you.
right, take care. Thanks.
Bye.
Who seconded?
That was-
You seconded?
Sure.
Both.